The course is loaded, and we've got a limited window to make this happen. Stick around, and we'll get right to it. Hey, welcome back, guys. Jason, KM4ACK. Out on a hike today with a couple of radio objectives in mind. So one of the things I intend on doing while I'm out here, and by the way, this whole exercise is kind of focused on Winlink, but one of the things I plan to do while I'm out here is to post a current position report once we get the station set up. In addition, I'm going to be pulling the current solar prediction over RF so that we've got those numbers to work with. And then we've got a training exercise set up with the tech prepper. And that's why I have a very limited window to get this done. Anytime you're trying to make a targeted contact, you've got to take propagation into consideration and understand what band and what time of day gives you the best chance of making that contact happen. So we looked at this in advance, and around 9 o'clock local time, or about 1500 UTC, should give us a pretty good chance of making this peer-to-peer Winlink connection happen. Now, the weather is absolutely gorgeous today. It's the day after Christmas, and in Tennessee, it is about 60 degrees this morning, which is incredible. We do have a cold front coming in right after the first of the week. The highs are going to be back into the 30s. But today, you can't ask for any better weather. And I don't need much more of an excuse than good weather and a cool friend to practice with to get out into the field and do a training exercise like this. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get the GPS information off of this D74. We're going to do that over Bluetooth, and I'm going to use an app called TNC Blue. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on GPS. Be sure the Bluetooth is enabled and the TNC is disabled. We've got that done, and it should be giving us good GPS data. Let's just double check that. I did get a notice that the D74 was connected, so we'll just run CGPS, and I do have good data there. The next thing I'm going to do is run a quick script that I wrote called Daily Mail. All it's going to do is post a solar request to my outbox. It's going to post a weather request to my outbox. And it's going to ask for all of the Winlink nearby users. Now, I'm going to eliminate 2 of those 3 because I really don't need all of those this morning. I'm mainly interested in the solar report. So this will give me the current propagation information that will allow me to plug that data in and see how good of a connection we can expect between me and the tech prepper. So you do that by sending a Winlink to query@celldocs.com, and then I just put this information right here in the body of it. You don't even need a subject on this email. Now, once we get that delivered, we'll be able to get that solar report delivered back to our inbox. We'll go ahead and try to make a regular Winlink connection just with a station that I can typically get into without too much trouble. And it looks like we've got a pretty good connection with KB5LZK. And I almost never have trouble getting into this gateway. I do Winlink on almost a daily basis, so I'm pretty familiar with which stations I can get into. And being that I've got that micro PA amp with me this morning, well, that just makes it a little bit easier. By the way, I don't necessarily recommend that amp, especially if you're going to do digital work. I have found that thing will overheat pretty quick doing digital. Now, while we're waiting on that data to process through the system so I can get that response, we'll go ahead and post a position report from exactly where I'm located, so you can see my Latin long right there on the screen. You can either look it up by Latin long. I'm going to give you the UTM coordinates here in just a second off of my watch, or you can just go look up the Winlink position reports and see where this one was filed. In addition, I'm going ahead and posting this peer-to-peer message to my outbox. So you can see I just put all good here, the weather is 61 degrees, and then my UTM coordinates right there behind it. So we'll go ahead and post that, so when we attempt our peer-to-peer connection, if we're successful, that message should go ahead and transmit out. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can get that data that we've requested delivered back to us over RF. While we're waiting on that connection to finish up, I've got an offline FCC database. I'm just going to go ahead and plug in his call sign. And the main reason I'm doing that is that gives me his grid square. So Delta Mike 43. And we will need that information here in just a second. Taking a quick look at the report, we've got a sunspot number of 108 and the K index is 2. So that should give us a fairly good chance of making this happen. But let's plug those numbers in and see what the propagation prediction tells us. In Pat Menu 3, you can just go to Find Gateways and then Propagation Prediction. I'm going to give it my grid square, so Echo Mike 65. We'll give it his, Delta Mike 43, and we'll give it those sunspot numbers of 108. And go ahead and click Predict. Now that brings up this chart right here for us. We are using 20 meters, so this line right here, and right now it is 1451 UTC, so basically 1500 UTC, and you'll see that I've got an A for propagation, telling me I've got about a 90% chance of making this. But predictions don't always hold up in the real world. Let's see if it will actually work. Alright, so the tech prepper is supposed to be listening on 14101.7 according to the message that I received last night. I do have his message in the outbox ready to transfer peer-to-peer, and we're going to try this with a bandwidth of 500, giving us the best possible chance. My antenna is not set up in the best of conditions, so if this fails, I might try to reconfigure the antenna and do it again. But let's see what happens on this to begin with. SWR looks good, and I am putting out about 45 watts with that micro PA50. And it doesn't look like he heard us. Now, I'm going to change my bandwidth to 2300. I know that is worse and I should have a better shot at 500, but in VARA HF, if you don't put a tick by the box that says accept 500 hertz connections, well, then it's not going to answer those. So just in case he forgot that, you never know what's happening on the other end. I'm going to try that one more time at like 2300. So we'll change 500 to 2300 and then go ahead and try that again. Yeah, and I don't think this one's going to work either. So after this connection finishes up, I'm going to reconfigure this antenna into an inverted L and see if that helps us. All right, not exactly what I wanted, but it's better than what I had. It does go up to a peak right there with the Gigaparts POTA 20 mast, so I'm basically running it as an inverted V. Not quite exact, but it's going to have to work for this, because sometimes when you're in the field, well, you just got to do the best that you can do. Get you guys mounted back on the mothership there, and let's give this another try. So let's go ahead and try that again. 14101.7 VARA HF, and I'm going back to a bandwidth of 500, giving us the best possible chance of making this. And guys, I think we've got it. I think we have a connection. It's not great, but we've got the connection. So literally just changing the configuration of my antenna was what I needed to make this happen. And I was wrong. He absolutely had everything configured right on his side. But it's always worth trying, because it's easy for any of us to forget one little simple checkbox. And if we do, well, it's going to be a problem and it wouldn't connect. But it does look like we've got a connection. Not a good one, but hopefully, fingers crossed, all of this goes through like it's supposed to. And honestly, as much as I love QRP, I don't think I would have been able to have done this if we cut this down to 10 or 20 watts. When you're talking all the way across the country and you need a solid digital connection, well, sometimes a little bit more power will not hurt anything. And in case anybody's wondering, it is exactly 1459 UTC. So it looks like we're not getting, we're getting about every other attempt back and forth. So he's not hearing everything that we're putting out, but he's hearing enough that I think we're going to be able to get this happen. I've actually got a much better signal coming back from him. I'm curious if he's running more power. Maybe he's running a 100-watt station is why he's getting back to me better. Or maybe it's just he's running a better antenna configuration. I'm just looking at the micro PA50 and I've got a perfect 1-to-1 SWR, at least according to it I do. And we're putting out somewhere right around 40 watts. That time it said 42, so 40, 41, 42, somewhere right in there. So it's a slow go, but I believe it's going to actually happen. Unless the band just falls out from under us, I think we're going to make this work today. 96% complete on the transmission side. I think we've still got a message to receive though. Another note I want to make to you guys, when you're trying things like this, keep your messages as brief as possible. Only convey the absolute necessary amount of information. That will allow these connections to go much faster, especially if you know the other party is in the field and operating on battery power. Now, watching VARA HF right here, these are some pretty weak numbers, so that tells me that we've got this connection by a thread. But a thread is all we need to make this happen. 100%. We got it. So all it took was reconfiguring the antenna to make this connection happen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to reach out to him on JSA Call, see if I can leave him a message there as well. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3. I still don't know why Mike has so many issues. There's my SMS message that went out over APRS to my wife, and there's her reply.